Hello and welcome everybody. We are back with some Limitless Gaming Esports Tuesday night racing at Brazil. Today we have sprint qualifying and a full grid. Look at that. Lovely little full grid. Look at that. Couple of reserves in tonight, a couple of new drivers, a couple made an appearance last night. But we're here on this lovely shiny morning in Brazil. So a couple of the drivers coming out on track. I'll be very surprised if it rains. Let's be honest, the skies are looking very clear. First one out of the pits, it seems, is Fearless. So let's get some information up. Fearless is out on track first. He wants to get his laps in early. Obviously we've got sprint qualifying this week, so most of the drivers should come out on the soft compound for the 5-lap sprint race. So yeah, championship wise we got the return of Tim Chapop. He's been absent for a couple of weeks now, which has really allowed Rabbi to stretch his lead out in front. Currently we have Rabbi on, well, in first place with 198 points. Tim Chapop is still second, but the gap has now increased to 164.5. It's roughly a 33.5 point advantage there for Rabbi at the moment. But yeah, we're right on board with Fearless. We'll have a look. Bearded Dave is retired. Has he lost it? We're going to find out shortly because Fearless is going to be coming up on him. Now we should be able to see. Oh, it looks like he's binned it. Yeah, that's damage. Yeah, we're just going to ride on board here with Fearless as he does his first lap. Looks pretty clean so far, all things considered. He's come across a DNF car. He's going to have some work to do in the sprint, obviously, to make up those positions. Fearless looking pretty clean. He's using up all the track. Does he hit the apex? Yes, he does. Get a good exit? Yes, he does. Coming into the last sector now and riding that corner onto that straight. Clips the apex nicely. A bit slow on entry, but a decent launch nonetheless. DRS active and across the line. Let's see what he does. It's a 108.7 so far for Fearless in the Williams. We'll see. There should be a couple of drivers coming across the line there shortly. Who's up next? We have Mr. Basel in a 108.9 just behind Fearless. I'm going to call him Nero. Tim Chapop flexing early. It's quite a... Ooh, we are getting some tight times here early. Dr. Wolfgang in with a 108.2. We're still waiting on the man himself coming out of the pit. So we're yellow in sector 1. Our championship leader Rabbi is yet to leave the pits. I think he's maybe holding out, but I don't know what for, because he's got no tyres to save, because whenever we do the actual race we'll get into everyone will have fresh tyres. Free tyre choice. Lots of yellow flags going on in sector 1. Let's have a look. Dr. Wolfine looks fine. Is it Tommy? Well, he would appear to be on his in-lap, I'm assuming. So, currently top we have the man, the myth, the legend. Kingsholm has put in a stonking lap time. He's sitting with a 107.8 at the minute. It's 2/10 faster than Ruhr at the minute. He's put himself right up there, although Ruhr today will be serving a qualifying ban, so I think he's just getting the practice in really, so he'll be dropped to the back of the grid. Warren with an improvement. This is going to get sweaty, I can tell already. There's been improvements right at the top of the field so far, and it just seems to keep changing hands. But yeah, so Warren's currently on pole. He's pipped Kingsholm. But just, oh, that is so tight, it's disgusting. And then Tay Pastor! There's a 5/10. Oh, Joe, I'm just going to stop talking, because the more I talk about new faster times, it just seems to keep popping in. Tay Pastor and Crossfire Strikes have demolished the current leading time of Warren. So there's quite a lot of room for improvement for some of these drivers at the moment. But is Rabbi come out on track yet? Rabbi's on his out lap. I think he's just started his lap, so let's follow him and see how he goes. How's it looking? Down the centre S's and onto that back straight, hugging the apex tight and DRS open. And we've quite famously that discussed incident between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton of turn 4. Sector 1 currently purple for Rabbi. Doesn't get the best run through that sequence of corners, but I say it is his first lap. We'll see. And that Haas car, of course, Haas also leaving the Constructors' Championship at the moment, so it's gonna get a bit interesting as the season wraps up, because we missed, I believe it was the Netherlands middle of the season, when this Skidoo game decided to break on us. We're going to have double points in Abu Dhabi, which really could make all the difference. Rally's time doesn't look like it's been the fastest, but sometimes the slower laps. It's P3. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. There's definitely some time to be gained there. He's 2/10 off Ted Pastor at the moment. Kingsholm, who put in that lap earlier, dropped down to P6. So let's have a look at the man, the myth, the legend himself. He's still in the pit lane. Interestingly, is Mr. Basil. Down there in P7. Aidan Bell also down there in P19. He was new to Tuesday night last week. He had a bit of a nightmare around Suzuka. He got damaged after the safety car and it pretty much ended his race for him. Too. But most of the drivers currently in the pits, I would expect quite a lot of these guys to start putting, well, quite a few laps in, because, you know, they haven't got anything to lose. These tyres are not going to be used in the race. Tim Chibop's on a flying lap at the minute, but he's coming out into traffic. Let's see if the Ferrari gets in his way. Is it still in front of him? It's still, and this is a bad section of track to find a car behind you. Let's see if, I think that's Veloce. No, it's Warren. Let's see if Warren gets out of his way well. It might get caught up in that 30 error, of course, also. Which could be a problem. Let's see if it's going to affect his time. So yeah, with 2 retirements so far. Ver's decided to retire. I think he's serving his qualifying ban. He'd be put into the back of the grid at the start of the race. Oh, start of the race anyway. But he might as well get out there for some practice, because he could cause a little bit of havoc. Tim only improved slightly. Not like him, because we remember the last time we raced was Singapore and he did that ridiculous drive from the back of the grid and absolutely demolished everyone who was present. But a little off the pace for him. Maybe this couple of weeks off he's had has had an effect. So yeah, a lot of drivers coming out in their out laps again. Couple on their laps, of course. Aidan Bell's still in the pits. He has another attempt. Mr. Basil's on his out lap. With yellow flags in sector 2. Is that Mr. Basil? The man I'm talking about? Has he got damage? Maybe he's just letting someone through. Looks like it. More yellow flags. It looks to be more people letting other drivers through on their fast laps. Yes, but I think, so we'll have a look at the man, the myth, the legend himself. We'll have a look at Barry. Barry jokingly said he's going to join me in the commentary box on lap 1. He doesn't think he's going to do well here, but let's see what he can do. He's not sitting at the back of the grid. And I think if he can hook this up, he's going to be in pretty good nick for points today. Just look, the Kingsman's also on a lap, but we're going to see how Mr. Lee and the Crossfire Strikes comes in with an even better lap time. Oh, Barry. He's cutting the grass. One of those new spec Alfa Romeo lawnmowers there. He's just going to back up. He's going to go again. But yeah, as I was saying, Crossfire Strikes has just put a ridiculous lap in. He is well out in front of most of the pack at the minute. Him and Ted Pastor seem to be the guys fighting for pole at the minute. Rabbi's still in the pits. Veloce, we know, has pace. And Kingsholm, seeing an in lap, he's put himself up to P5. Of course, we're coming to the end of the season, we're starting to talk about the championship. This guy's kind of an outside chance at the minute. He's sitting in P3 with about 98 points as he lets... Is that Rabbi? That's Rabbi come through. He's ready to go for another lap. But yeah, let's have a look at one of the new guys. So it's Cairo Racing. He's down here in P14. He looks to be on a flying lap. On some 3-lap Osofs, he's just invalidated, unfortunately, so that's not going to count. So this week we also have the return of young one. He's had a bit of an absence this last while, but he's back. We'll see if his absence has had an effect on him. Tim Shapop, surprisingly though, he's still down in that P8 position at the moment. So, like I said, we've seen Rabbi on his outlap. I think he's just about to start, so we'll go on board with him again. The current championship leader, round the CNSs. Looking clean. Has a car in front of him. It's one of the Ferraris again. This time it's Veloce. Let's hope that doesn't impede him any. Veloce is also on a lap. Oh no, he's saving. He's on an in lap, or I would assume. Gets out of the way for Rabbi and lets him free into sector 2, the twisty uphill downhill section of this track. Rabbi looking pretty neat and tidy at the minute. This could be a good lap. Of course, he needs there's 5/10 he has to find to take pole today. Of course, like I've been saying, we've got the sprint race today, so he could make up those positions in the race just as easily as he could lose them. But he comes up the hill in sector 3 now. DRS active as he goes towards the line. Isn't an improvement. It's looking good. It's pole position. He's just pipped Crossfire Strikes by thousandths of a second. That's going to get tight. Although Crossfire, he's ready to go again. He's straight back out. Just looking down the group. Mr. Basil, look at him go! He's a P11. What a guy! Barry, I don't know if you're listening, but good on you, son. It's been a running joke going on for a couple of weeks now between him and Aidan Bell. Aidan's expecting Barry to get more points. Aidan's, well, if he had a finish last week, would have been tied with him in the championship, but he's still behind him and he's only a new driver. But good on you, Barry, sitting P12. That's a nice little spot. That's nice. At least room for, at least a good opportunity for finishing well in the sprint. Too. So I think we'll go on board with Crossfire Strikes. He's going to be coming up to the line now for his lap. We'll see how he does. In the AlphaTauri, he is of course reserving tonight, but he has proven he's quite good over 1 lap pace. But just doesn't seem to be getting the results. He had a bit of a nightmare last night in China in Monday Night Racing. Lost it, I think it was around lap 8 in the last corner. But definitely one thing that we can say about Crossfire is he's got a great 1 lap pace and great race pace. He's just not getting the luck, it seems, as of late. But so far, everyone's looking clean and tidy. I did see he got a purple sector 1 there, so that's looking good for beating Rabbi at the moment. The question is, how much more time can he gain? Williams heading off track there to let him past. He's looking nice and clean into the last sector. Round that. Oh, I thought it was going to get a bit of a wiggle there, but he's come out well. Let's see how he does over the line. Is it an improvement? DRS is open, comes up to the line, and it's 2/10 he's managed to find on Rabbi. 2/10. So yeah, we're going to start to get saucy times here now. The other guys challenging for pole position in a minute is Tay Pastor. Oh, there's an Alfa Romeo around. Which one is it? It's a young one, I think. Oh, he's in a bad spot. Oh, that's unfortunate. Who did he tangle with? I think it was Tommy he tangled with. Tommy doesn't look like he's too happy with that. That was unfortunate. He just come back on track at the wrong time. Tommy's got damage, but that could spell the end for his qualifying. It looks... Trying to get a view of his front, but for some reason... Oh yeah, that's wing damage. That's his qualifying looks to be over. Unless he can get back round very quickly, but I don't think he's got time. But yes, we're talking about Tay Pastor, the other guy challenging for pole. He's on his hot lap at the minute. Can he find the 4/10 that Crossfire has found? As DRS is activated, he comes up to the line. It's a slight improvement, but it's not enough to take Rabbi. He's just behind Rabbi by about a tenth. Half a tenth, not even a tenth, half a tenth. Most of the drivers were expecting now to come out on track. As it's come to the end of the session, I suppose one to keep an eye on is Kingsholm. Third place in the Drivers' Championship. He's an outside look, but he does need to start outscoring Rabbi to have a chance. Basically to keep himself in the championship. He is in a bit of traffic though. He's going to have to negate that before he starts his lap. Behind him is one of the other Haases. I believe that is Aiden, who he lets through. He's sitting around there in P14 at the minute. Interesting though, he is driving with apparently a broken hand. So I suppose P14 with a broken hand isn't too bad. But we'll see how he does. We'll keep an eye on him for a bit. For someone with a broken hand, that was a very clean apex into turn 1. Down the semi-S's, gets a decent launch onto the back straight. DRS active. Down into towards turn 4. See how he does. Does he manage to meet? He hits his breaking point well. Doesn't run wide, and someone else is off ahead. One of the Red Bulls. I'm not sure who that was. It was Nero. I'm not sure if he's had an incident or he's just letting people through. Kingsholm's now on his lap, he's just taking Nero. I'm going to call him Nero, I like Nero. Maybe, or Nero. I'm going to call him Nero. Yeah, I'll go Nero. But this is where the times are going to change. Tim Shapop has put himself, he's finally starting to show a bit of pace that we know he has. Still 3/10 off Tay Pastor, 4/10 off Tay Pastor. And in the round, what, quick maths, 6.5 from pole, which really isn't like him, but qualifying is officially finished. Some of the drivers, Tay Pastor's currently cemented himself in 3rd place, but can anyone take that away from him for now? Kingsholm puts in a lap for P5, he's just behind Tin, the guy ahead of him in the standings at the moment. Thebo Boy, someone who we haven't really spoken about, he's managed to cement himself well into P8. So that's not a bad start for the sprint. Let me see. See where this ends up now. I think most of the drivers are finished their laps. Fearless looks to be still on the lap. He's coming in. And I believe that is it for this qualifying. But of course, as we know, we're doing the sprint this week. We are where everything can change. But we're just waiting for Fearless to pop in the pits. Hopefully the game doesn't glitch. We've been having some, I don't know what they've done in the last updates, but it would seem that they have managed to bug the game yet again. Just got a couple of comments there from the man himself and Barry. Barry's managed to qualify himself in P13. Not a bad little result for Barry, but yes, let's run down the grid quickly. So we have Crossfire, who gets pole position with Rabbi just behind the championship leader. Taypaster takes third, and in fourth is Tim Shapap. On the third row of the grid, we have Kingsholm and Balache. Warren and Feeble Boy take the quick maths, fourth row of the grid. In P9 we have Dr. Wolfang, someone we didn't really talk about much there, but he's done well. Nero has managed to get himself in P10. Ver, who will be starting at the back of the grid of the rain race anyway. I suppose he's just racing for a bit of fun. If he gets points in the sprint, he gets points in the sprint, but he still will be starting at the back. Ian starts in P12. Mr. Basil, Barry, the man, the myth, 11, and the man, the myth, the legend, in P13. Fearless gets P14. For some reason, I can't scroll down the leaderboard. So I can't tell you the rest, but I promise you there's 6 more drivers on that grid. But yes, we're heading towards the sprint now, where Brazil traditionally will be quite exciting for overtakes. That looks a little grey. I'm assuming it's going to be a dry sprint race, but we never know. Just having a look here, some of the drivers talking in the Discord. So, bit of a rivalry going on between Taypaster and Crossfire. They seem to be good mates. But of course, with good mates comes good competition. So it's gonna get interesting. But of course, we've no formation lap in the sprint, so this is where it's gonna go. We're just gonna go straight into the action. As we got, well, we're going straight into the action. It's 5 red lights, more like white lights on my screen, and it's off. So, decent start. Oh, it was one of the Ferraris. It's all out of shape off the start. I think it's Veloce's managed to get out of the shape. But into turn 1 and Rabbi and Crossfire. Rabbi wants that extra point. He wants to get this championship wrapped up and done. There's a lot of carnage there into turn 2. Oh, we've an Alpine, we've a Ferrari. We have so much carnage into turn 2. And the field is so spread already. Mr. Basil's up to P8. Come on, Barry. You're 2 places off points here. But we have a chaotic first sector. Young one has retired. Warren, one of the Ferraris, has managed to get down in P17. I think it was Veloce was the one who got tangled up at the start. He's still managed to hold P7. He's 1 position out of the points for this sprint, because obviously we award points for the top 6 in our sprint as opposed to real life. Tim Shapap making his way up. He is just taking Feeble Boy. He's sitting in P6 at the moment. Veloce's gone through. Doesn't look to have any damage. They're going to battle each other into the second to last corner. On Feeble Boy's gone round. He's lost it on the exit. Young one's left the session. I'm not sure if he's going to come back in or not. I hope so. But yes, quite a lot of position changes, so I suppose we can have a look at it. Look at this! Look at this! Mr. Basil's gone AI? Oh, Mr. Basil's gone AI. We know Barry runs his own business, so I'm hoping that it's not because he has to, well, do business, I suppose. But let's look at the position changes. Tommy's had an absolute blinding start. He's up 9 positions from the start. Kingsholm's managed to gain 1 on Tim. Veloce stayed steady. Tommy now up to P10, up 10 positions in the P9. Mr. Basil, who's an AI, I'm assuming it's because he's running his business. I don't know, but hopefully he can come back soon, because he's managed to get himself into a decent little spot. Tommy up 11 positions. He's on a right charge. But let's have a look at the guys up front. What's going on here? 4 drivers, one after the other. We've got Crossfire, Rabbi, Taypaster, and Kingsholm. All want as many points as they can. And Kingsholm just dropping off the back of the 3 ahead of him. I'm not sure if he's going to have DRS, because we could get the gap. He's just in that DRS at the minute, and he wants to stay there going into turn 3. Oh, he gets a little bit of a twitch and oversteer on the exit, but I think he's just going to hold it. Does he have DRS? Does. He managed to keep it now. He needs to get back into that 1 second gap before the next DRS zone on the start-finish straight. Still ahead, Crossfire strikes Rabbi right on his gearbox. Taypaster's just biding his time at the moment. I suppose he's maybe hoping. We have a yellow flag in Sector 2. It's one of the Haas's. Aidan Bell is... I don't know where he is, because he's having technical difficulties. Trying to get himself back round. But back to the front then. We have Crossfire. So did I just see, is he in that corner? Let's see. Okay, we found him in the end. Still back to the front, yellow flag secretary, that's still for Aiden. Kingsholm hasn't managed to get himself in that gap unless he's just managed to get into... No, he's lost the DRS gap. Tim Chapot, however, is approaching at the rear. Taypaster takes the fastest lap, but we are in the sprint race at the minute, so we can't give a point for the fastest lap of the sprint. 2 more laps to go. In what has been fairly chaotic. Tommy, I suppose, the biggest winner so far, but Diddy LFC is also up 9, so worthy of note. Bearded Dave up 8. One of the biggest losers at the minute is anyone who's DNF'd, I suppose. Warren had a nightmare. One of the Ferraris got tangled up in that one. It was a yellow flag sector one. I think that's for Aiden retiring the pits. Let's go back to the front though for the final few laps. Kingsholm's managed to get himself back into that 1 second gap. The guys in front must have been fighting a little bit for that to for him to manage to get through that. Coming first in the sprint, of course, is more than worth it. It's worth 10 points in the championship. Crossfire, the reserve, Taypaster, also reserve, will not be getting constructors, or will not be getting drivers points, but certainly for the constructors, it'll make a huge difference with yellow flags again in sector 2 not having. But Rabbi's going up the inside of Crossfire on the last lap, and he's managed to keep him just behind, but of course he's got to get through this second DRS zone. Crossfire getting a penalty, so that's not going to help him. And Crossfire's round! Kingsholm takes P3 at the moment. Tim Chapot, did he get tangled up in that? Oh, I'm not sure what happened, Crossfire. It looks like he just got on the curb, but that is great news for Rabbi. Puts himself up into P1. Taypaster's currently sitting P2. Kingsholm still just behind, but if he can get a move done, it looks like he's used all his battery though. Did I see his little blinker? Oh, maybe I didn't. Let's see what he's got. He's used a lot of the battery. How much has Tay got? He's got a little bit more, and Rabbi's burnt everything. This could be a sprint race to the line. Veloce, time penalty, 2 seconds, that's not going to help him. Mr. Basil's up to P12, I'm hoping he's managed to get himself back. But we'll see what happens now as we go down this start-finish straight for the last time. Rabbi's out of ERS, so is Taypaster. It's a sprint race to the line. Has Tay got the pace? He does! On the line, Taypaster has taken pole position, with Rabbi in second, Kingsholm in third, and Tim Chapop in fourth. Tim will be pretty happy with Taypaster's efforts there. Crossfire strikes. The man who leaded this sprint for 4 of the 5 laps will be disappointed with that P5. And Tommy, coming from, I don't even know, I can't do that miles, man. He's come up 13 places in P6 to get himself a point. What a drive, son. Same with Diddy, respectable driving there, up to 11 positions, he can be happy with that. Veloce drops to P9 with his penalties. Dr. Wolfgang, he ended up P11 at the end, he dropped 2 positions. The Monkey Mafia, one of our new drivers, up 6. Oh, what a sprint. Absolutely mental. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to set up the lobby again and see if we can get... just set up the lobby for, basically for the sprint, but we'll try and get Young One back in. Not sure what's happened to him then. He starts from the back of the grid with Rur, but yeah, Tay can be very, very happy with that drive too. But we will run down the grid for the start finish, or for the start finish for the main race, and see if the game will let me show the entire grid this time. So, on pole we have Taypaster. He also took the fastest lap of the sprint, but he doesn't get a point for that, of course, because it is the sprint. Rabbi in P2, and on the second row of the grid we have Kingsholm and Tim Chapop. Crossfire strikes after that spin, promoted to P5, and Tommy with that absolutely amazing drive in the P6. Diddley LFC up to P7, and Rowe in P8, Veloce in P9, and the Monkey Mafia are, I believe, our first American driver in the league in P10. Dr. Wolfgang in P11, with Mr. Basil alongside the Bearded Dave just behind him, with Cairo Racing in P14. And once again, I can't go any further. So I know we had a couple of DNFs there, but if I was most of the rest of DNF'd. I think it was 4 DNFs in that sprint. But guys, we will be right back with the main race shortly.